Forgiveness is automatic. We're dealing with a God of truth in purity form. He is also the God of good. That's where we get our goodness from, our knowing of goodness, and then we act in our knowing, and we feel good about that because we get fulfilled by the Father's pleroma element. The pleroma fullness element is that which meets the emotional need all by itself. So when we're aligned and we're with the will of truth in purity form, we get that automatically and have our needs met automatically every single time. And you feel youthful from now on. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't affect you as impact. You know how devastation impacts you? Like, I gotta fucking deal with this. Internally like that, it doesn't hit you like that anymore. You go, oh shit, and then deal with it without being afraid. Being cautious, obviously, but not afraid like before. But the forgiveness thing, I want to talk about that a little bit. Obviously, I had experience with pedophiles as a child. It was part of my education, believe it or not, to understand the algorithm of duality. Fuck me, right? Anyway, I do know and have always known in my heart that forgiveness is automatic. But accountability, you have to be accountable for your darkness. Oops. And if you're not accountable for your emotional darkness, then you can't get into the perfect realm of heaven. You have to re-educate yourself. This is the education. We get separated from the spirit of life. We begin to kill our own spiritual lives off, not on purpose, not because we want to or because we're stupid, because we're fucking not stupid. We're gods, by the way. Since we have the seed of a God inside us, we're gods. But we have to earn it. We have to align ourselves and then educate ourselves in alignment to become that God self. God being. But first you got to become a God self. And a God self is somebody who's in the purity form of their own truth, while knowing the skill set of the balanced determined self, and knowing also the other two skill sets of the pleasing determined self and the selfishly determined self. There's 3 personas in the world. Those are them. You're one of them, or you are 2 of them, but you're not 3 of them. There's nobody balanced in this world today that I've seen, ever. And if you're under 5, you're balanced. I haven't met a child yet that isn't emotionally balanced. When they're spoken to properly with respect, like you would need to feel respected, to allow that safety that allows that kind of self-expression. Anyway, about forgiveness, man. Even pedophiles are forgiven. Murderers, rapists. Even the worst of the worst of the worst of evil is forgiven, but you still have to cleanse yourself. And if you can cleanse yourself, then you're allowed in, you see? And if you come and I'm in heaven and I have a fucking problem with that, then it's my darkness I have to become accountable for. And if I don't, I get evicted. But I wouldn't make it in if there was that in me, you see? I wouldn't get evicted. I would still be working on my education in terms of what I need to know to accept and let go of control of. Like, control in any form is evil. But here we have to take control because there's evil. But you do it in the balanced determined self through the skill set of the balanced determined self. You're not darkening yourself. You're not darkening the atmosphere around you. You're not darkening the heart of somebody else. You see? That's the thing. You remain the light. You have to remain the light. If you don't remain the light, you're fucking in trouble. In trouble. Trouble. Because this is the last one. There was 4 other ones. Life cycles. And then the big waves come, kills everybody. It starts all over again. What the fuck is that, right? It's the recycling thing that the Anunnaki created. It's not real heaven. There's a middle place. What are the Mayans described as Shabalva. It's not Shabalva. That's the middle place. That's where our souls go to meet the 3 retributive receivers. In us right now, the 3 retributive receivers are in influence. They ignite embarrassment, humiliation, and ridicule. Those feelings that connect with the past, unresolved humiliation, ridicule, and embarrassment from self-expression, and then being rejected for it. So we're attaching now that humiliation, ridicule, and embarrassment to the early childhood stuff, and we shut down. We go self-protective, and we can't help it. My point. Okay, and there's also the 3 in physical form. I mean, being form, in spirit form, waiting for each soul. Okay, and then they rip you apart. They tear you apart in the human will removal formula to make sure they can still puppeteer you. And if they can't, it's because you have knowledge, and God's coming to take you from that place. God's angels, God's helpers. I don't know what the hell they're called. Angels, helpers. Trees, allegorically, the tree is symbol for the angel. The angel is the influence. The 12 people, the 12 are the influences. The Last Supper with Jesus and those 12 people, those are influences and not real people. Do you understand? I don't know. See, it's really difficult because they mix up the physical with the spiritual, so it confuses people. And rightly so, too, because a lot of people got their hands on this information. They turned the TV into a pedophile machine. Oh, shit, they did. They found this information in shortly after it was discovered. It doesn't take a genius to understand the secret sayings of Jesus Christ. It takes somebody who's been experienced. That's all. And the human will to be honest with yourself. And that's it. Anybody could have done it. And there's more there also that wasn't detected, that we're still working on to understand, but you will get. When you realign and you get your shit together and you start feeling healthy again, you start feeling youthful again, you start feeling your innocence again, you see? So you're forgiven. And I don't hate it that you're forgiven. I thought I would hate it. I don't at all hate it. I understand goodness. I understand kindness. I understand mercy. I understand forgiveness. And I give it all the time. But because I have filters, right? Or memory, at least now, the memory of being pedophiled as a child, it's first emotional. They first use the human will removal formula on you. That's this emotional deception. The cunning deceit of emotional deception. Cunning deceit. An adult talking to a fucking child. Because a child knows nothing. All he knows is his own innocence and brand newness. Doesn't have a knowledge base yet. You see? He's about to experience. He or she is about to experience a fucking pedophile. Which screws everything up for the rest of the life. Rest of that person's life. It really does it. That pedophilia is not us performed a pedophilic maneuver on Adam when he was a boy. It's written. Yeah. And seduced Eve, his feminine element, his wife in spirit form, and his wife in spirit form. And we have the same thing. Masculine, feminine element. The masculine is married to the feminine element, you see? And the bridal chamber is that marriage between you and your life source again. That feminine element, the birthing element of truth that's born in purity form. Did I do this wrong? 131 out. Shit. Fuck you. That's born in purity form. And then it gets torn apart as the result of it gets torn apart as the result of being rejected. One thing destroys a child's heart for the rest of its life. One thing, unbelievable. But it's not just one thing. If there's rejection coming out of the parent, that parent is with the infection, the spiritual infection of the evil spirit influence. The evil spirit influence is a pedophile. It's pedophilic that has the human will removal formula that performs it on the child each time the child has an emotional experience for the first 5 years of its life. It talks in its own voice when communicating with the child that we call the ego, but slowly changes its voice into the voice of self as to not alarm the self. Gradually and slowly replacing his own voice with the child's voice. And now the child is thinking, all of us, in the negative emotional energy, the darkness of emotion, in its ego, in its own voice, thinking itself is that voice. And it's not. It's the evil spirit influence named Naas. He's a spiritual pedophile. He's the pedophilic element that offers that human will removal formula over to the physical pedophile, so the physical pedophile can first work the child and get its sexual needs met physically. It first has to remove the child's human will for that to work. Otherwise, it's called rape, and pedophiles are actually offended when they're called rapists. So in their own twisted, fucked up mind, they with cunning deceit maneuver the child's thought process into agreeing to the sexual, because it's terribly afraid it's going to lose this, that, and the other thing, all of which the pedophile implants as the potential fear of loss for the child to consider if it doesn't take its own pants off. I know it well. I know the algorithm of duality well. I know the algorithm of fucking pedophiles well. I've studied it. I don't want to say it fucking fascinated me. It didn't. It disgusted me. It made me so angry. It makes me so angry. It creates all kinds of negative things. But also at the same time, I got this fucking hunger to understand it. So I've been studying it. And lo and fucking behold, right? I discovered the algorithm of duality and the fountain of youth. Unbelievable. Jesus, thanks, man. Fuck, what would we do without you?